All right, let's talk about Pakistan. We're diving into a really fascinating and controversial foreign policy decision they've made. One that puts the government's cold, hard strategy in a head-on collision with what its own people believe. It's a big one.
And really, this is the big question, isn't it? What happens when a government decides one thing is in the national interest, but the people feel completely differently? It's a classic dilemma, but in Pakistan right now, this isn't just a thought experiment. It's a real-life drama playing out with massive stakes.
So, what is this big move that's causing all this friction? Well, it all boils down to one very contentious international agreement. Here it is. Pakistan has officially joined the Board of Peace. Now, at first glance, that sounds pretty good, right? It's a group led by the U.S. that says its goal is to end the conflict in Gaza. But of course, the devil is in the details, and this decision is rooted in a political philosophy that's very pragmatic, and some might even say pretty cynical. And that brings us to this key idea, Realpolitik. It's a German word, and it basically means practical politics. Just think of it as foreign policy with all the emotion and ideology stripped away. It's not about what's morally right or wrong, it's all about what gives your country a strategic advantage and economic gain. And bam, right there, that's where the problem starts. Because while a lot of countries operate this way, in Pakistan, this kind of cold, calculated approach is often seen as a sign of national weakness, almost like a betrayal of the country's core principles. And that creates a massive divide right from the get-go. So, this gets us to the real heart of the issue here. It's a fundamental clash between how the state sees the world and the deeply held beliefs of the public. They are practically operating in two separate realities. Okay, this slide breaks it down perfectly. On one side, you've got the state, the government. They're thinking about things like geoeconomics, strategic interests, how to stay relevant on the world stage. It's a big chess match for them. But on the other side, you have the public. Their view is driven by a powerful moral story, deep-seated anti-imperialist feelings, and of course, the influence of the clergy. It's a total collision of pure logic versus powerful belief. And this isn't some one-off thing. As the analyst Muhammad Amir Rana points out, this is a pattern in Pakistan. The people in power, the establishment, are constantly making big calls that just fly in the face of what most people think. So you have to ask, how do they keep doing this? Well, the answer lies in the very unique way Pakistan's government is structured. Experts call it a hybrid regime. So let's pull that apart and see what it really means. Okay, so a hybrid regime is a system that, on the outside, kind of looks like a democracy. You know, they have elections, there's a parliament, but in reality, all the huge decisions, especially about foreign policy, are made by a small group of unelected elites behind closed doors. It ends up acting more like a quasi-monarchy than a government of the people. And here's how it actually works. The regime uses what's called a muscular approach to shut down any opposition. It actively works to weaken the power of political and religious parties, so they can't organize big protests. Parliament often gets completely sidelined on the big stuff. The endgame here is a more authoritarian state. But, and this is a huge but, the whole thing only holds together if they can deliver economic growth. You can see how this system creates a huge problem, right? When the government makes these massive decisions without any public buy-in, it just pours fuel on this really powerful and damaging story. The idea that the country's leaders are just puppets for Western powers. It totally erodes any trust the people might have in their government. So, you might be wondering, why would the government risk making its own people so angry? To get that, we have to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. This high-stakes game of geopolitical chess that Pakistan is playing. From the government's point of view, this wasn't some random decision. There was a clear logic. First, they need to make sure Pakistan stays a relevant player in the region. Second, they're looking to build stronger partnerships with wealthy Gulf countries and growing African nations. Third, they see a real advantage to being in the club of the current U.S. administration's allies. And finally, and this is a big one, they have to counterbalance their main rival, India, who's been getting much closer with the European Union. So when you lay it all out like that, you start to see their argument. They felt like staying neutral just wasn't an option anymore. In today's world, not picking a side can mean getting left behind. From their perspective, they had to make a move to protect what they see as the country's core interests. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The source material points out this striking parallel. There's an argument that the current U.S. administration and Pakistan's hybrid regime actually have a similar way of operating.
Think about it. Both are trying to shake up the old rules, both tend to sidestep traditional ways of doing things, and both really prioritize powerful alliances based on practical interests, not necessarily shared values. So this whole situation, the deep internal divisions, this unique political system, the intense geopolitical pressure, it all brings us to one final, really crucial question for Pakistan. And this is really the question that just hangs in the air. If Pakistan wasn't facing these challenges, if it had a strong, booming economy, a stable democracy, and a unified society, would it still be making these same kinds of choices on the world stage? Or would a government that truly reflects the will of its people choose a completely different path? It's a powerful thought to end on.